What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, week 7 of the PPL League, where I'm up against PaullyMac, coach of the West Coast Wingulls. Now if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like down below, I would really appreciate it. So what we'll do first is run through what his team is, what I'm going to be bringing to answer that, and then finally we're going to go into the battle from there. So, he has got Thunderous T, Mega Scizor, Toxapex, Donphan, Blaziken, Gourgeist, Garchomp, Mesprit, and Liepard. So a very, very scary squad. Mega Scizor is always a very, very spooky mon to have to contend with. And not a huge amount for Mega Pinsir though, which is going to be one of the Pokemon that I decided to sort of build around and bring for this match. But yeah, Mega Scizor is a big scary threat, especially if you can get some SDs up. So I've had to make sure I had a few checks. So that's Thunderous was by far an Agility Thunderous. Could have put a huge dent into my team. Luckily, it would suffer from free move slot syndrome, so we would, it would depend on what moves he'd end up bringing, but it's just very scary. But I was sort of hoping at the time he may end up being sort of maybe Scarf or something like that to be able to check Mega Pinsir or something like that. But what we'll do is we'll run through what I decided to bring. For some reason the EV's already messing up, but we have got a Expert Belt Nihilego, because outside of Mega Scizor, which, if I'm cheeky, I could maybe predict with a Hidden Power Fire or something like that, or he expects me to switch out and go to the SD. I can put a, pretty big dent in his team. I've got the Dazzling Gleam there, which helps me with the Garchomp. Then we've got the Psychic, which allows me to handle the Blaziken, Toxapex, and just in general, apart from Liepard, he's not got the best switches into, and if he does go into Mesprit, I've got the Power Gem for that, and then just Power Gem because it just sort of blasts through his team like that. Next up, we've got Skarmory, which is a bit of an interesting one. I couldn't work out whether to go Brave Bird on this or go for a purely supportive set, and I decided to take a risk here, go for a purely supportive set. So this is designed to get rocks up, keep them off my team, and just sort of check all his offense, because I can check Mega Scizor, Donphan, Blaziken, Garchomp, which were his main sort of scary, either bulky or sort of setup mons. So, it looked really nice. I could just, check those. Thunderous was going to be his best answer to be able to actually beat this. Outside of that, his team does struggle. I guess Blaziken could do some damage, but with the Occa Berry, I can take a Flare Blitz or so and, Whirlwind it out if needs be. Or just sort of, just as a sort of safe way from there. Next, we've got the Shaman, and I must admit in my prep, I made a bit of a mistake. I probably should have gone for a little bit more speed, just because I could, potentially speed creep a Garchomp, so I need to just keep that in mind for other games. But we've got an interesting set. So this is a Sub-Seed set with max defense, and then the rest in Spadef. I didn't invest in HP, which seems really weird, because basically how it works is with my Leech Seed, I get a certain amount of that Pokemon's HP back. That comes in and turns into a percentage, and say for example if I'm in it against a Mega Scizor, if I go for Leech Seed and I'm 0 HP and he's max HP, I get 12.6% of my HP back. But if I'm max HP, I only get 10.6, so it could have a huge effect on whether I'm going to get any substitutes or not. I think in terms of physical attacks, I took 16% more than if I was 252, but then my Spadef actually goes up by a couple of percentages in terms of how much damage I take compared to just a max HP set. So it was a bit of a compromise between everything, and it seemed to make the most sense. We've got Sea Flare there just for damage, the Leech Seed there, and the Sub allows me to sub up. I can sub up on quite a few different things and wear things down, and then the Hidden Power Fire there is for Scizor and also the Gourgeist. So it's looking pretty fun and cool from there. Next, we got the Delphox. Delphox has a really nice matchup. I'm loving Delphox this season, I must admit. It has really great coverage, really, decent speed. It's not amazing speed, but it's still great to be able to outspeed base 100s and things like that. And we've got the Fire Blast, Psychic, Hidden Power, Ice, which hits all of his team really well. And we've got the Colbur Berry there, which helps us stop being revenge, because his best revenge, if we could get Calm Mind up, would either be like a Dark Pulse Thunderous T if it was Scarf, or potentially the Liepard, because that would be able to outspeed me, go for knockoff. So what I'd be able to do is take the Dark Pulse or something else with my Colbur Berry, take their item because I've got Magician, so I hit them back, kill them, steal their item, and if that Thunderous is Scarf, stealing a Scarf, and if I'm at +1 or something like that, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, or even taking an item from Liepard, and then I could potentially sweep back from there. Next, we've got the Mega Pinsir. So this is a sub-Swords Dance set designed to sub up, potentially on the Gourgeist. I could predict a switch, or potentially, set up on the Toxapex or something like that. We got Frustration there and Quick Attack, which handles most of his team. The only thing that resists this is the Thunderous, and then the Swords Dance there to be able to set up. Definitely one of my win cons going into this match. And then finally we got the Raichu. So this is designed mainly just as a switch into Thunderous. Keep it from going for anything particularly spooky. We actually ended up changing the moveset because I forgot about this. We've got Grass Knot on here just because of legality issues. I had Thunderbolt, Encore, Grass Knot, and I think HP Ice as well. So this is just a Life Orb, bit of a Wall Breaker set from there. So what we're going to do now is go into the match, and you can see exactly what happened from there. Okay, so we are at the battle, and as you can see, he decides to bring the Garchomp, Blaziken, Thunderous, Donphan, Gourgeist, and then finally the Mega Sizzle. So very, very spooky squad. So I obviously knew that his main checks to my Mega Pinsir was going to be that Thunderous, potentially some sort of like defensive Donphan, or potentially like a bulky either Rocky Helmet or just generally like Tank Chomp sort of set with his Garchomp. The main game was going to be try and work out what his Scarf was going to be. From the matchup, my initial thoughts were potentially, maybe Scarf Chomp, but then with my Mega Pinsir being around, you don't really want to risk me being able to come in for free if you lock yourself into Earthquake. Thunderous seemed to make the most sense overall, so what I want to do is try and get as much information as I could out of the team, play it fairly safe at the start, wear his team down, and just try and scout out what exactly is going on. So in terms of my lead, I decided Shaman looked to be sort of the safest out of all of these. It matched up pretty well against everything apart from maybe the Blaziken there. So I thought, overall that seems to be the best way. So we're going to click play here. I'm pretty sure that was my lead. It was a, spoiler alert, it was quite a long battle. So there may be bits that I may end up forgetting, but I'll try and sort of try and remember as I go along. So he leads off here with the Garchomp, which is great for me, because I'm going to lead off with my Shaman. If this is an SD set, I should be able to sort of handle it fairly well, because I've got the sub-seeds and stuff like that. So I'm just going to throw a set of seeds out. I can sub up on the Gourgeist if it decides to come in, and as you can see, out comes Kiri, which is the Gourgeist. So I'm just going to sub up here, oh no, sorry, get my Leech Seed, just in case he decides to do that, but he does end up switching out, and so my Leech Seed isn't going to work, but I can get a free sub on this. So the sort of effect is sort of fairly similar to if I'd have subbed beforehand. I may have been able to throw a cheeky, HP Fire out or something like that. He goes for Toxic, so that's brilliant for me. So now I'm in a really great position, and I can just throw, a cheeky Hidden Power Fire. Overall, it seemed to make the most sense in case he wants to go into Sizzle for some crazy reason. If he wants to go into Thunderous, like you can see coming out here, I get some damage on Thunderous. Obviously, I don't know, would Seed Flare do slightly more? Seed Flare might do slightly more, but overall, I thought Hidden Power Fire would have been my best bet. Get some damage potentially on the Gourgeist if he decided to stay in, and I can decide what I want to do here. So he decides to go for a Sludge Wave, and obviously throws that out, and that's going to obviously break my sub, and so that's good information. So he doesn't actually show an item here, as you'll see, so he was still on my potential hit list for a Scarfer, so I just have to try and work out from there. So I just, set up my seeds. That's what I decided to do, just so I can get a bit of chip damage on this. I could have gone for another HP Fire, but I figured, just in case he was something like Hidden Power Ice, I could take that pretty well. I might be able to be cheeky, do a bit of sub-seeding on him, but the Sludge Wave is probably going to do a little bit too much for me, and it does about the same as a Hidden Power Fire. So it also then gives me a potential free switch here. So I'm just going to go into my Raichu. I counter. I can take a hit from this guy, and unless he specs, and I can then take a hit from him, get the recovery back up if he does end up getting a high roll, which, as you can see here, he does get a slightly high roll. So I'm going to be able to get that HP back with Leech Seed, and that's going to put me in a very, very nice position, because now I'm going to be able to get a little bit of HP back, which is fantastic. So we're now out of range of that, so I can throw out whatever I want to throw out. As I am going to throw out HP Fire here, I think, HP Ice, I think, if I remember rightly. No, I go for Knockoff here. I go for Knockoff, because I figured I can get rid of any item if he decides to stay in. I can knock off his Scarf, because I wasn't sure if he was Scarf or not, but I take out, take out the Assault Vest on this guy, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. Help my Nihilego potentially down the line, because I don't have a huge number of moves to be able to hit that super hard. Here I decide to go for Grass Knot, play it safe, as he does go out into Edge. So that was a little bit spooky. I should have probably maybe predicted that and gone for something else, but I didn't have anything else apart from T-Bolt that would have done anything. I didn't want him getting rocks up there, so I decided to keep Raichu here. This is a slightly controversial move on my end. And I go into Nihilego just in case either A, he's special, or B, he goes for a fire move, or C, and also if he's not Scarf. So unfortunately he goes for high jump kick here, and that is going to do a huge amount, and that is going to unfortunately kill Fetish there. I felt like I needed to keep the Raichu just to try and keep that Thunderous in check. I'm still out of Sludge Wave, actually I may have been sort of within the Sludge Wave rolls, and it was just a sort of check from there. So I'm able to go into my Delphox. I can just throw out a nice cheeky Psychic here, and I can basically get a kill. So every time Delphox is out now, it's my win con, because I'm going to be able to get a kill with it, which would be absolutely fantastic. So I can just Turkio Kevin Owens here, and Delphox is looking really nice. I absolutely love this mon. It's got great offensive typing, love the speed on it, and love the coverage, and just in general, just a really fun mon. It's probably been one of my favourites so far this season. It's just been pretty consistent. Alchemist Brawn, I was so tempted to Hidden Power Ice here, but I decided I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to switch out. I could bluff the Scarf a little bit, which would be quite cool, and he may well be Yashi. I've got a terrible problem in my where I always sort of I always play it too safe, because in my mind I know how I would prep, and then I expect them to prep how I would prep, and I'm a bit of a berry guy sometimes, especially if there's a big problem that I know is going to be coming, like obviously like the Colbur Berry on whatchamacallit, I've forgotten the name now, but he's going to go for Dragon Tail now as I get rid of rocks. And I'm going to go end up back into Delphox. So I was like, do I go for it? I just don't want Foxy Grandpa is my win con. If he shows the Yashi and I lose my guy from there, I'm actually not, you know, I'm only going to do like 50% to this chomp. So he does go for the Earthquake there, so it's probably quite safe bet. And I'm quite happy here. He's going to set up his rocks here. It's a little bit stally at this point. I'm just trying to sort of get knocked out into a nicer Pokemon to be knocked out into. So I'm going to set up my rocks here. And I'm actually going to, controversial enough, just defog them back again. So Skarm's being a little bit passive, but as I said, it's a passive set, but I kind of needed it to be that way, just because I needed all those moves, because I needed it to be able to recover up. I needed it to be able to defog, just in case we had shenanigans like this. But you know, it's doing okay. It's handling the threats, and we're just being sort of shuffled out from here. So I go into Mega Pinsir here, and I'm very tempted to get some damage off on this, but I was thinking, if he's got the Rock Slide here, I'm in trouble. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my playing or something like that. I've still not got Mega Pinsir down. I'm just not a particularly big fan of it. I don't know how to explain it. So, I like Pokemon with a lot of power, and obviously Mega Pinsir has a lot of power, but it's the fact it's its quad weakness to rocks that really puts me off, and a lot of things do have that rock coverage and things like that, and it puts so many doubts in my mind of whether I can set up or go for an attack, just in case they got it. So I go for him Power Ice here, just in case he decides to stay in, but he does decide to go out into Sizzle. So I am going to switch out here. I'm going to still preserve the Raichu, and just in case, just to see what he's going to do. I could have thrown a T-Bolt out there if I wanted to afterwards, but I don't want him setting up or doing anything like that. And actually a Thunderbolt, if this is like a more Spadef set, wouldn't have done a huge amount. So he is going to Mega up here, and I'm going to see exactly what's going on. I've got my Skarm at full, so I'm not particularly scared of this Mega Sizzle at the minute. He just goes for Roost. That's, you know, it's fair enough, just in case. He must have been more, you know, indicates to me he's probably more of an offensive set, just so he wouldn't be KO'd by the Raichu. So what I'm going to be able to do now is just set up my Stealth Rocks, which is great, and I can just see what he decides to do here. So he's going to go for the Swords Dance. I don't think I'd revealed that I had Whirlwind here, and he's probably doing a bit of maths. I've got Defog, I've probably got Roost, I've got Stealth Rock. I'm not going to have Whirlwind, so I'm going to show here that actually I'm a bit of a weird set with no attacking moves. And he's going to go for the Bullet Punch, you know, do a decent chunk, looking to be more of like a, you know, obviously fairly offensive. I'm just going to go for the Whirlwind here. And, you know, kind of hoping he'd go into Thunderous or something like that. But he's going to go into his Gorgeist. So here I was like, do I go into Mega Pinsir just in case? And he does end up frisking me, showing the Occa Berry, so that's a bit unfortunate that he's going to be able to reveal that. So I'm going to switch here. I decide to go into my Shaman, as he is going to go, I believe he's going to go for, oh no, he's going to switch out here, and he's going to pull a cheeky double out into Brawn, which is going to be his Garchomp. Now this is where the speed thing came in. If I had a little bit more speed, I'd be able to outspeed this Garchomp, because right here he's going to go for Toxic, which was I must admit, quite a risky play on his side, considering I'd shown the sub beforehand. But unfortunately, we are going to miss out. If we'd have got that sub up after there, we'd have done so much work, but It was just a bit of misprep on my side. I should have added a little bit of speed EVs to be able to speed creep a sort of bulky chump, but not much I could really do there. It was my best player just to sub up, and I'm just going to throw out some leech seeds just in case, and you know, if he wants to switch out, I'm not too worried because I'd have been able to get some leftovers back and, you know, sort of cut my odds really. So I'm going to go for the leech seed here, and that's going to help wear down this chomp. This chomp's still got no item. In my head, it's still potentially Yashi Berry. Could potentially be Rocky Helmet. I haven't had a chance to really try and test that and see, as he is going to set up his rocks, which is unfortunate. I'm pretty sure a Dragon Tail does break my sub, but, you know, I'm still in here. I can still, you know, do a bit of damage to things and stuff like that. So I'm going to throw a HP Fire out here, because I was anticipating to switch, most likely going into Gourgeist. He doesn't have the best switch to a HP Fire at this point, apart from obviously like Blaziken, but I can still do some damage to the Blaziken. So he is going to switch out into the Gourgeist, as I'm going to throw out a nice little Hidden Power Fire, just to see what he's going to do. And as you can see, he's going to come in, frisk me again. Bit of a weirdo, this Gourgeist, but I'm going to throw out a HP Fire here and see how much it does. It doesn't do a huge amount at all, which is a little bit disappointing. So this is looking to be a sort of very, very bulky Gourgeist. And this also has no item, which made me think maybe Cobra Berry. And that's the problem with my sort of thoughts. So I was thinking, you know, maybe Cobra Berry with Willow, that wouldn't be unreasonable. I'm going to switch out here because I don't want to take too much toxic damage, and I'm going to go out into my Scarm. I can default the hazards away if I want to. I could set more up, or I could even just roost up, just, you know, stay a little bit healthy. I need this Scarm just because it checks the Scizor and a good few things like that. So he's going to go for Synthesis here, get all the way back up to full, and as I said, still no items, so I'm a little bit suspicious of it, as he's going to switch out here and go out into his Thundurus. So his Thundurus is now very, very close. Originally, I could have potentially Swords Danced on the high jump kicking, whatchamacallit, but it was just not in the range where I'd be able to quick attack the Thundurus, which would have been a real pain. You know, been really useful for me as well. So it's at this point, I was like, I'm still sure it's Scarf. I'm going to have to go sack off my Raichu now, just in case he does end up being Scarf. And this is a huge, huge turn for the game, because here, I'm going to get worn down, obviously. He's going to go for the Agility. So he isn't Scarf, he is the Agility set. And I looked at my team and I was like, oh my goodness, depending on what set he is, I will be able to check it, but one of my Wincons is going to have to take a huge amount of damage. It's either going to be sack off the Shaman with do a Seed Flare plus Quick Attack combo with my Mega Pinsir, or I'm going to have to go Delphox. And sadly, I had to go out to Delphox. I was kind of hoping he would have the Dark Pulse here, just because then I would he'd bop the Colbur Berry and I'd be at a good amount of HP. But he's going to go for Thunderbolt here. So my Wincon, which was looking really great, I'm unfortunately going to have to sort of semi-sack. I'm bringing it down to a point where Scizor can, you know, kill it. And, you know, it's still super useful. In the right situations, if he's not got Shadow Sneak on the, what's it called, Gourgeist, I'd be good. But he is going to go out into the Scizor here. I really want to preserve this Delphox, so I know I can get rid of Rocks later on. I could potentially, you know, have a couple of cheeky switch-ins, maybe get another kill with it. So I am going to go into my Scarm here, as he is going to go in. He's going to go just for a Bullet Punch, obviously trying to get rid of me, and that's fair enough. So, you know, I need to get rid of Rocks now, so I'm just going to go for a Defog, if I remember rightly. It is, as I said, it's a very, very long match, so I'm trying to remember exactly what went on. I also didn't really want to roost up against the Scizor, because as you can see, I actually outspeed it, and I was worried he may be deliberately bringing a min-speed Scizor with Superpower, so he'd be able to Swords Dance up, predict me on the roost, and go for a Superpower, and then be able to blow me back from there. But he's still going for those Bullet Punches, so I'm getting still, you know, slightly worn down. But it does mean I'm able to go to the Whirlwind, just get rid of it, because, you know, Swords Dancing Scizors are still pretty spooky, as he's going to end up out in Chomp. So I had to decide, do I go into my Delphox straight away, or do I just go for a Roost or something like that? So I go for the Roost. Right prediction on my part, because he does go for the Dragon Tail, which is fair enough. He does not want me to be able to go out into my Delphox on the predicted rocks. So he's going to send me out. I was hoping, you know, go for Delphox, send me out into Delphox. And as you can see, I do end up in Mega Pinsir. So I decided to switch back out again. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this Chomp. I probably should have just gone for damage, to be honest. But I really thought this was now my new Wincon, and I needed to preserve it, because if I could get to +2, I could potentially, you know, beat his team from there. He showed Toxic on the whatchamacallit, the Gorgeist. If I could, you know, get the Gorgeist handled and sub up on that, that'd be great. So here I was so tempted to kick Fire Blast, expecting him to go Mega Pinsir, and he does go Mega Pinsir, but unfortunately I decided to go for the safe middle ground play just to get some damage off. And oh no, I don't. I go for a the more sort of attack in your face play and go for him Power Ice. In his head, apparently at this point, he still thought I was Scarf, which was quite interesting because obviously I've not shown any item and my damage rolls show that I'm Scarf. So I just go into Scarm here as he does go for a Bullet Punch. He can't afford for me to potentially not be Scarf there, and it does mean I get to set up my Stealth Rocks if I want, and I do get to set up my Stealth Rocks. That's great. And he's going to go for another Swords Dance. The fact he was staying in and Swords Dancing so many times really made me... Oh no, he goes for U-turn this time. But the amount of times he was Swords Dancing before he went for U-turn here, as I said, I was pretty sure he had Superpower. But looking at it, looking at the moves, he won't have Superpower. So that makes me feel a little bit better about that, as he's going to go out into Edge. Now, this is very, very scary for me because I don't have much that's going to be able to take a Flare Blitz. And this is where I had to take another big choice of Wincon. So I had to let... Unfortunately, Scarm was going to have to take this hit like a champ. Take the Flare Blitz, as I'm going to Whirlwind it out and let it take it Recall, plus then another set of Rocks, because that would really help me with wearing it down. And potentially, you know, if he wants to come back in again with this, and my Scarm's at a good amount of HP, he's still going to take a lot of Recall from there. But I was convinced at this point, yeah, he's probably the Scarfer, and that puts me in a big load of problems, because I've got Shaman left, I've got Scarm left, I've got Delphox left, and I've got Mega Pinsir left, all of which aren't particularly great. So he's going to go back out into Edge here, as I'm going to go for the Roost here. The Rocks are really helping me, but as you'll see, after I go for the Roost here, I've got to work out, do I sack off Scarm? Do I sack off Shaman, or do I sack off Mega Pinsir? And at this point, I make a bit of a bold go. I decide to sack off Shaman, which in retrospect probably wasn't the best idea, considering it handled the rest of his team pretty well. I just thought, from the outlook at this point, Mega Pinsir had a better chance to win, and I needed to keep Scarm because it checked the guard jump and it checked that Mega Pinsir. But in retrospect, I think if I'd have outsped the guard jump and I had that speed investment, I'd have definitely kept the Shaman because it kind of won me the game from there. But unfortunately, it didn't work out like that, and I had to go into Mega Pinsir. So the other thing is as well is I think with the amount of recall he'd have taken from Pinsir, he still would have been able to live the recall from there. So I'm going to go for the quick attack. He can't afford for me to set up, and that's going to take out Edge from here. Now the next few turns were pretty crucial, so I'm running out of running room here. I need my Mega Pinsir to sweep. He's going to go out into Gorgeist, which screamed Cobra Berry to me. Absolutely scream Cobra Berry. So you know, we're going to go for the sub here. The sub seems to be the best play in case he's Cobra Berry, Willow. He may not expect the sub tech. So I'm going to go for the sub here. And he is going to end up going for the Rock Slide. I had it in the back of my mind he might have the Rock Slide. But that's going to be really unfortunate for me, because now it's a bit of a roll whether a Rock Slide will kill. Originally it wouldn't have killed. So that's really unfortunate for me. I could also be a douche and just keep subbing up. In anticipating a potential miss, but it wasn't looking particularly likely here. So I was like, okay, I'll hold off a sec. Maybe if I can get some get this guy weakened or something like that, that will put me in a better position. But it's not looking particularly good for me. As I said, it reeks of Cobra Berry, that set, and yeah, just overall, just not looking particularly great for me, because he's got a lot of things that can recover. I can Whirlwind round, potentially wear down this Chomp, which would be nice. But all I've got left is this and my Garchomp, and I've still got my my Delphox, but that's only really going to be useful if the Gorgeist doesn't have Shadow Sneak, and there's always a chance that it might have that. So he goes to the Roost here, getting up to a good amount of HP. So I'm just going to keep Whirlwinding around, and just trying to sort of use this. It sounds really weird, but to kind of bide my time, have a think, and work out exactly what I want to do. So he is going to go out into the Gorgeist here, and I predict the Synthesis here. I think, if I remember rightly, I switch out here into my, yeah, Foxy Grandpa, because if this doesn't have Shadow Sneak, this is my best play to either kill the Garchomp or kill the Mega Sizzle, because I could potentially set up on the Mega Sizzle depending on its set, but most likely not, looking at what the damage calcs look like. So he does go for the Synthesis here, and he does show the Shadow Sneak. So that's unfortunate, and it's looking even bleaker from me. And you know, if I can still get to +2, I've still got a chance with this Pinsir. But as I said, the runway is coming to an end, and I can see the cliffs, and it's not looking like Swagstag's going to be able to take off. So I'm going to go for one final bid, go for that Swords Dance. You know, if he misses the Rock Slide, potentially I'm in a great position. To be honest, though, it's not looking great, because even then, a Cobra Berry does not even kill me. So he does take me out there. That was a high roll, but it doesn't matter, because he had the Shadow Sneak. So it was also a crit there. But he'd have got me with the Shadow Sneak anyway, so it doesn't make too much difference. And that's going to be the end of the game, because that's just going to be Skarm left. Technically, in the PPL, you're not allowed to forfeit. So I did at the start think, oh, maybe I had a chance, but then I thought about it, and sort of my post-match annoyance, sort of end-match annoyance, realised actually no, I can't, because he's going to have Synthesis, and he's going to have Roost on Scizor and stuff like that. So I have a couple of turns where I do stuff like that. I don't know why exactly, but you're not allowed to forfeit in PPL, so I had to let him just take out my Skarmory here. So anyway, unfortunately, as you can see, we do lose the match. It's just, as I said, part of me enjoys the draft. Like, I enjoy the draft that I've got. There's just a few things that are missing, and especially for me, like, Mega Pinsir just doesn't seem to be working for my playstyle. I just not a particularly, like, it is great, and in some positions I've done quite well with it, but I'm just not a particularly big fan of it. And the problem I've got is I could look to free agent it, but you have a limit of 4 for your free agencies, and I've used 3, and because it's such an expensive Pokemon, I'd only be able to exchange it for another expensive Pokemon, and there weren't many in terms of options, and none of them had as good a matchup in the last few matches as Mega Pinsir does. So unfortunately, we are keeping Mega Pinsir. We do end up being, what's that, 3 and 4 right now, so not particularly great. It's not looking great in terms of winning the PPL. We're going to come sort of, by the looks of things, like middle to lower middle, but, you know, what can you do, really? It was a really fun match, though, this one. I really enjoyed myself, and I think just sort of make deal with the squad that I've got, because this was my last transfer window, and just try and see if we can get a couple more wins or something like that, because that'd be quite nice, and just put ourselves in a sort of fairly decent position at the end. So anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy the match. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.